Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hope you're having a blessed day. I know I am. I'm Brian Perez, and for the second day in a row, we've got Drs. Alice Benton and Jim Burns on the show. Alice is a clinical psychologist. Jim is the founder of Homeward. If you want to put an end to your shame or learn how to be a better communicator, we'd love to hear from you. First, let's give the mic to Jim for a thought or two. Jim, what's up?
Well, Brian, first of all, thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Since he's come on, Alice, I just think our program is better. I just think it's great.
Oh.
Better, smoother, funnier.
And it's so good
you.
to have Alice. I don't get to hang out with her as much, and I just trust and admire her, how smart she is. I always say this, but I always take notes on her. So we're going to talk today a little bit about doing life with your adult children.
Didn't you write a book?
Yeah. And I want to give
right here.
I hear so many people who call this program, and obviously we just did a lot on marriage in the last time we were together. But I hear so many people who have struggles with their adult children, and I just want to give a couple of principles. Number one is, if you are a parent of an adult child, you are fired as a day-to-day parent. I just mean that, okay? Parenting has to change, and that's really hard for us. The kids don't know how to be adults, and we don't know how to be parents of adults, so it's a struggle, but you have to give them the passport to adulthood. Secondly is keep your mouth shut and the welcome mat out. And what that means is unsolicited advice is taken as criticism, and I don't know why we do this. I continue to do this with my adult children, but I want to give them advice because it's what I do and what I've done for all these years. But when we give advice, they see it as, you don't trust me to be all grown up. And I think that's an important principle. The other principle that I'm going to talk about just quickly is be students of the culture. So your kids are either millennials or Gen Z, or maybe they're a little older if you're older. But if your kids are millennials or Gen Z, they grew up in a different culture than you. And we sometimes think that they should jump over to our culture. Well, you can agree to disagree, but you're going to have to understand that they were raised in a different culture when it comes to really important issues like sexuality, their faith, so many things. I'm not saying you don't change your values, but make sure that you understand where this is all coming from with them. And, as you think about the question you're going to have to also ask, another principle, is are you helping or are you enabling? And I love this phrase, they'll never know how far the town is if you carry them on your back. And I think there's a lot of people who are still carrying their adult children on their back. It might be finances, it might be emotional, and obviously we do that. We had our kids boomerang 8 times, but who's counting, back to live with us, right? I write a book on finding joy in the empty nest, and I'm going, well, that lasted for about 2 weeks. They're back. And we loved that. It wasn't negative, but we had to set up some good boundaries. So we had to always ask the question, are we enabling them, or are we truly helping them? The intent is always right. And then another one is when your adult child violates values and strays from their faith and struggles, you can't want it more than they want it. And what I mean by that is, if you're the one who's depressed and struggling and anxious and, trying to, maneuver that to have your child, come back, well, you're going to have to let them sometimes learn by doing it the hard way. So, you just can't be a one-topic parent in this case, and you can't just go take care of them. So, anyway, I think those are a couple of principles that are so key and critical if you do have adult children. I know a lot of our listeners do have adult children. Some have babies too, and you can't do most of that stuff with them.
The book, that's the name of the book too, Doing Life with Your Adult Children, Keep Your Mouth Shut, and The Welcome Mat Out. Some great conversations in here, a failure to launch, the high cost of money when your grown child violates your values. So pick this up in the newlife.com store. You'll also want to get Jim's other book, Finding Joy in the Empty Nest. It took Jim 2 weeks to write this book. And then that's it. We'll be back with your calls. Kay, you're next on New Life Live.
Here at New Life, we want you to have transformation. And so we have created the New Life courses, and you meet weekly on Zoom with a coach or counselor. You're going to have teaching as well as that group connection, because we know how powerful that is. We hear that all the time about our intensives, that they love the information, but the group process is so powerful. And many of you have been hesitant to participate because you're not sure, the timing, the price. New Life courses are going to meet you right at that area of need. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful, and it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us.
Begin your transformation January 29th with a New Life course. Lose it for life, take your life back, or healing is a choice. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We've got some special guests coming up on New Life Live that you won't want to miss, so open up your Notes app or get your daily planner and join us tomorrow. Dr. Henry Cloud joins us again next week. On Monday, blended family expert Ron Deal will be with us. Ron is a best-selling author and licensed marriage and family therapist who can, of course, help with any question you have. But if you're in a blended family situation, it'll be a great day to call in for help. Mr. and Mrs. Brady, we can't wait to talk to you about what you're going through. You got that? Okay, never mind. Kay in Washington.
That dated you, by the way.
Yes, it did. Yes. Kay in Washington, D.C., listening on WAVA. Thank you so much for calling in today. How can we help you?
Hi. Sorry. I already called in a few times within the last few months. I've just been going through a really challenging time. At the time, my focus was on trying to save my marriage. My husband had cheated on me, and I was still trying to save the marriage. But the day before Thanksgiving, he did tell me that he wanted a divorce, and things have just been going very quickly, and he's been making a lot of changes to our finances and to the kids' schedule, and I think he's going to try to have like 50-50 custody, and I'm having a hard time letting my kids go, and I'm so scared. My kids are everything to me, and it's hard to even be away from them for even a weekend, and he's moving so fast, and I'm trying to catch up, and I can't.
And this man you used to depend on and at one point hopefully could trust has completely turned. And I'm sure he seems like a stranger and an enemy who's trying to steal your children from you. This is terrifying.
Yeah. It's just so hard. I just don't understand what's happening. And it's happening so fast. I just feel like I'm just so overwhelmed.
Okay, do you two still live together, or has he moved out?
Yes, he's still here. I think he's trying to wait until we can get to an agreement. But he just said he can't. He's not waiting for me. I mean, he just says he just doesn't have any patience anymore to wait. So he's keep moving forward. I just feel like so powerless.
Yeah, he's bulldozing you and bulldozing the kid's life, the family life. Is he divorcing in order to go with his affair partner?
I don't believe so, because from when he told me the affair was from an escort, he didn't know them.
And as part of the fear for your children, do you think that he will verbally or physically mistreat him? I understand that you can't trust him in these other areas you've described.
I don't feel like he will mistreat them, but I feel like his family will turn them against me. My son already told me, my 6-year-old son already told me that my husband's mom told him not to trust me right now. And I've seen this with his family, which is why I've been so protective. And it just scares me so much to think that they're going to turn them against me.
Okay, that's an understandable fear. Will you tell us what is your support like, and who are you talking with and checking in with about what's going on?
I just opened up to my family because I can't take it anymore. They recognize he took the kids for Thanksgiving, and it's the first time I've never been around my kids for the holidays.
So you decided to
let them know what was going on.
And are they supportive of you?
Yes, they didn't know a lot. I didn't share with them a lot of things because I was trying to protect the marriage.
Kay, are you getting any
open up.
Are you getting any professional help right now?
I was until he stopped the finances. He completely changed it, so I had to pause it.
Wow.
You know where Alice is going, Kay. And by the way, your feelings and your emotions are good. I mean, that happens. You're grieving an incredible loss, and there's fear, and I totally understand that. I think you got to make sure, and you figure this out, finances or none, but you got to find what I like to call a circle of support. So that means you have your family, bring them into it. You're not trying to protect him right now in terms of whatever he's done. So you need your family to be around you. Circle of support also means that counselor that you were going to, if you like that counselor, you figure out another way, but there's a way to do that, or find somebody at your local church who could talk with you, call New Life, but you can get some help. You can do it on a different cost basis. So don't make that a part of it, because what you want to do is build this circle of support. And so what I like to do is say, with the circle of support, you've got your family, and it sounds like your family, is willing to give you some of that support. Then find your counselor, find your church. A church is a great place of support. So that's just one aspect of it, but that's one place. If there's anything going on medically, then you make sure that you're getting the health needs. And as you build this circle of support, a friend that you go to coffee with regularly, who is somebody who builds you up, who lifts your arms up and says, you can do this. It's not easy and it's going to be different. That's the people who do well in the middle of your trauma here. And it is trauma. It's traumatic. They're the people who go ahead and go get that circle of support. And sometimes we make excuses. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have this and that. But what you want right now to have is, again, this circle of support that's going to help you be the mom. And really, you're going to have to learn a whole new skill. It's called co-parenting. Nobody loves co-parenting. Make sure you listen to the Ron Deal session on Monday. He's one of my good friends. In fact, Henry is too. But with Ron, he talks about how do you co-parent in a healthier way. Part of that is us getting as healthy as we can, and being in touch with our feelings and being able to talk to people about it and things like that. So, you sound like a person that loves your kids so much and would do anything for them. For their sake, get the kind of, build a circle of support around you. And sometimes you think that one goes the opposite, because you say, well, if I build a circle of support and I've got to talk to somebody and go have coffee with them, well, that means I'm being away from my kids. Actually, you're going to be at times away from your kids, and to have that circle of support, that's good. I just highly recommend that you get back into some kind of a counseling who can help you gain the insight through the deep emotional trauma that you're going through. And there are ways to do that. And again, you can call New Life, and they can help you think through that if you don't have the resources or the understanding. But Kay, what you're feeling is normal, and and he did a really horrible thing, to be honest. And he's got issues, but you can't now fix him. He's got to deal with his own stuff. Get as healthy as you possibly can.
When people say they're trying to protect the marriage, like Kay said,
Yeah.
It's not so much, I mean, maybe she was trying to protect her husband too, in hopes that things would improve. But I think she was also trying to protect the kids. I mean, the kids.
Exactly.
This is going to shatter them. I think she said one of them was 6 years old.
No, exactly. And I think a lot of times when we are talking about protecting the marriage, I mean, she hasn't given up hope that maybe this could change. At the same time, there'd be some things that would have to be dealt with the strong side of Kay, if he's seeing an escort. And again, usually when you hear one thing, there's 10 behind it. I mean, I hate to say that. I'm not trying to make light of that issue. It may not be that. Maybe he had a fling or whatever. I'm not saying any of that's good, but he has to get well too. Yeah. And as she gets stronger, that's just only going to help every situation. The whole situation. Yeah. It's interesting that he's still living there, so he probably is a pretty good dad. And as much as I wish they could kind of get back together, I don't know that that's the answer right now. I think the answer for Kay is to get as healthy as she can possibly get. Jesus came up to a person and said, "Do you want to get well?" This is the story of a person who had been lame for 38 years. And the person made an excuse. I'm not saying she is, but the person made an excuse. And then Jesus didn't take that excuse. He said, "But there's nobody here to do this or that, or I have this or that." And he just said, "Pick up your mat and walk." And what that meant was he would be healed when he initiated the process of getting healing. And I think that's important. Yeah. Another time, there was a person that, said to Jesus, "If you're willing, you could touch me." And Jesus said, "I am willing." So that's the kind of God we have. And but we also have to be willing to be helped and be touched by God and all those kind of things. And so again, that's why I'm so big on the circle of support thing.
Yeah. Alice?
Kay, of course you're in a state of panic, and it is possible that his family will try to turn your children against you. So I understand that fear. Yeah. Making sure you get to a family therapist who can work with your children is a good way to safeguard your relationship with them. Your panic might paralyze you, or it might cloud your thinking. And so I'd also have you talk with your physician in order to consider an anti-anxiety medication, even if just temporarily, because you need to be as clear-headed as possible. And then I want you to contact a domestic violence shelter, not because of a risk of physical danger from your husband, but I'm concerned about financial danger. And I'm concerned he might be stealing from you or riding over your rights. And so a domestic violence shelter could put you in touch with some really good attorneys who usually give a free consultation to start, who would be able to fight for you when you're not sure how to fight for yourself. And then lastly, because spiritual warfare is real, you might get a group of believers to fast and to pray protection over your family and your children with you.
So many good resources for you in the newlife.com store. Healing as a Choice is one that we kind of alluded to because it's based on what Jesus said to the man, "Do you want to be made well?" He had a choice. So that's also the name of a 12-week course that's going to be starting next week. You can find out about that at newlife.com. And of course, you said you've called before, so we might have already recommended this for you. Maybe you've already signed up, but the Restore Healing After Betrayal Intensive, that's happening in Dallas, Texas, the weekend of March 6th. Details on that at newlife.com. Let's take another call. Here is Susan in Albany, New York, who watches us on YouTube. Hi there, Susan. Thanks for calling in today.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I'm a long-time listener and supporter of New Life.
Thank you.
So thank you all. Oh, you're most welcome. I have gotten so much out of your program over the years. So thank you all for what you do. Your advice is always spot on. So I'm so appreciative of that. My question today, as I know with the program, I'll get right to it, and then I'll give you a little bit of background, is what should my next steps be in trying to connect with a person? You mentioned the circle of support, which I love hearing. So I'm trying to be a circle of support for someone, but it's not going exactly as planned. So to give you a little background, the person is a lady that I've known casually over the years. She would come to Bible study off and on, and she would share at times. And I know she's gone through a lot. She struggles with anxiety and depression. And so recently I've tried connecting with her a bit more and asking her out to share a meal. And initially the response is enthusiastic, but on the actual day, she cancels with an excuse. We're not at a level in the relationship where she would probably feel comfortable saying, I can't meet today because my anxiety's kicking up. But her family says keep asking her. Oh, I hear music.
You're good. You do listen. You pay close attention.
Okay, so we got to fly Susan out here in case I ever take a day off. I think she can fill in as host. Yes, it's great. She knew all the lingo and everything, and that's what happens when you're a longtime listener and longtime supporter.
Susan, I just leave you with a question to think about over the break. Does the feeling of that push-pull in relationship from her, is that at all familiar to you with someone else in your past that you tried to connect with? Think about that to answer it after the break.
Yes, it is break time. Susan said so. And we hear the music. So we're going to come back in a little bit, continue talking to Susan and Ed and everyone else who's on the line. Thank you so much for listening to New Life Live and for watching us as well. Whether you're a longtime viewer and listener or you're brand new, we welcome you to New Life Live. We'll be back.
I went to Every Man's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Orange County, California, January 23rd through the 25th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, Susan, as you know, the break is over. So, Alice, you had a question for her. And did you have a chance to think it over, Susan?
I did. Can I respond with a question?
Yes. Oh.
So by push-pull, do you mean in my relationships, do I tend to push for it and then pull for it, or?
I'm talking more about her pattern of yes, I will go, no, I won't. If you experienced the hurt of that before, was there any significant relationship that treated you in a similar way to how she treats you?
Not that I can think of, and I actually don't feel hurt by her response because I don't think we're at that level of friendship, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I'm concerned about her well-being, I think, more so, that I'm, again, trying to be part of her circle, and she has been open to it, but of late it's just been, not there. So I don't know, should I continue to, I left it open-ended now and said, okay, contact me. I don't want to pressure her because I know what it's like to be depressed, but I also know it's not good to be isolated. So, my stance right now. I left it open to her. I don't know if she'll respond back, but should I do something more?
I actually think what you're doing is exactly the right thing. My background in ministry and training people in ministry is that's what we say, because a lot of times family members will say, you've got to help this kid, you've got to help this marriage, you've got to help this, and you make the offer and they don't take it up. So then the very best thing you can say is, you know what, I think you're awesome and I'm looking forward to one day connecting when you're ready, and know that the door is always open. But it's not about you on this one, it's about her. And it's too bad, because sometimes people, especially people who have, some depression going on, some anxiety, it's more about what they're going through. But you can't force yourself upon her. And so, periodically, do you see her in any time? Like, does she go to church with you? Are there times when you just see her, or do you have to always make a call?
Yeah, I do not anymore because she switched churches.
I got it. Yeah, because that's a more natural thing where you go, hey, I haven't seen you for a while. How are you doing? That coffee date's still, always open. But I think you've done it spot on. Not only we were teasing you about, the music came on, you stopped and all that, but I think you're actually doing what you're showing her love and care, but you're also respecting some of those boundaries. Now, again, if she was suicidal, if there were some other things like that, then we have to kind of barge in. But in this case, it doesn't sound like that's the case. And so, maybe she needs a circle of support, but she's not doing it the right way. And you're not responsible for her making those good decisions. You're a servant. You're serving her by saying, I'm available. So I actually think you get the gold star from New Life, this particular conversation. I don't think we give gold stars, do we, guys?
We do now.
We do now. But I think you get the gold star for doing what you're doing. And, there's other people who need that and would probably accept your deal. And I'm not saying you move on, but even in the Bible, it talks about, if somebody doesn't invite you in, then kind of dust off your shoes and keep going. That doesn't mean that you leave her, but it does mean that, if she doesn't want the help, you can't give it to her, and you're not responsible. And I know there's some family members who are tied in there, and they're probably hoping that you're the answer. But if she's kind of flaking on that, I mean, there could be good reasons, but because it's multiple times. If it was just once, then I'd say, well, then ask again. But if it's multiple times that she does that, then she's saying to you, I'm not ready. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't like you or she won't come back. I've had things where I remember saying to somebody when I was in the church, when I was pastoring in a church, I said, my door is open at all times, but I'm not going to hassle you here, because they kept doing the same thing. Like 3 years later, I get a call saying, is your door still open? And my door was, and we had a good conversation. We actually then moved it into more of a relationship like you're probably looking for with her. But it took them 3 years. I would have done it in 3 minutes, because I thought they needed to be together. I mean, with me, but they don't. They'll do it on their own time, and a lot of times it's delayed.
Alice.
Right.
Susan, did she ever ask you to stop pursuing her?
No. As a matter of fact, she's very thankful and appreciative, and but yet it doesn't materialize, or hasn't so far.
Does she remain heavily on your heart and mind? Like, you kind of can't get her off your mind?
Yes, pretty much since the beginning of the year.
So when that happens, I have two guesses. One is God keeping her on my heart and mind for a reason? Or going back to, is there some historical reason for you, some unfinished business in another relationship, even though nothing came to mind yet? And it may not apply to your history, but it may then apply to God. And I was thinking, as you were talking, about several clients I have worked with who are so depressed, they can't show up at a restaurant. Sometimes they can't answer the phone, and yet they're so lonely, and they desperately want a Susan to be reaching out to them from time to time. So if it doesn't cost you and it doesn't hurt you when she rejects you, I want you to ask, God, do you want me to still pursue her from time to time? And you might tell her, you can say no, and you can also tell me if you want me to stop, and I would stop. Lastly, If she's in a very deep level of depression, I hope you'll recommend to her family to contact us so we can get the family in touch with an interventionist so that they can bring them around and equip them of how they might try to break through to her too.
So good. Susan, it was great speaking with you today on New Life Live, and it is break time once again, as you know. We'll be back, Ed, in Boston. We're going to talk to you in just a moment here on New Life Live.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to Intimacy and Marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is February 13th to the 15th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the code NLL for a discount. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
There's a place where real healing begins, where truth meets grace, and where transformation starts. New Life Recovery Groups offers a Christ-centered, supportive community for growth, healing, and restoration. Built on a proven 12-step foundation and grounded in biblical truth, these groups help bring clarity, accountability, and lasting hope for those who are ready for change. And when deeper personal guidance is needed, one-on-one coaching and counseling are available, walking with you every step of the way. Here, lives are renewed, stories are rewritten, and hope is restored. You're not alone. You're not judged. You're welcomed into a community that believes God is still at work in your story. Take the next step toward healing. Join a New Life Recovery Group today, online or in person. Visit newlife.com/groups or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Find healing, find community, find new life. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is coming up February 13th in Orange County. It's where couples come to experience serious breakthroughs and growth. After learning information as a group on topics like attachment styles, how your family of origin impacts your marriage, and ways to build sexual intimacy without shame or insecurity, you'll apply the information in therapist-led process groups. Here's what one attendee told us. I was completely shut down and had lost all hope for our marriage. Our patterns owned us. We couldn't break the cycle. But the Intimacy and Marriage Weekend has redeemed us. I now have hope for my marriage. This can be your story too. Get all the details at newlife.com and let's get you a discount. Register by next Friday, January 30th, and you'll get the early bird rate. Here is Ed, who listens to us on Sirius XM Channel 131 in Boston, Massachusetts. Hey, Ed. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for taking my call, and thank you for all you guys, for everything that you guys do. My question today is I need some direction and guidance with regard to a family issue and my 33-year-old daughter. My wife and I are empty nesters for many years. We have 2 daughters. 8 years ago, my oldest daughter married her high school sweetheart. They dated for 7 years. Last year, my former son-in-law quit the marriage. He decided suddenly within about a month and a half that he was done. As things came to light, we find out that it was an abusive relationship, verbally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. This came to light when she started counseling with her pastor and his wife. Fast forward past the upheaval and the hurt, and beyond the hurt and the betrayal. A few months ago, my daughter began dating a man that we believe to be a Christian. Seems like a completely different situation. To a degree, she seems completely swept off her feet. But I'm struggling with a number of issues in terms of moving forward. as a father, what is my oversight in this relationship? Prior to that, she was under my roof. And then there was kind of like that council of authority that we had that relationship, and she willingly was under that. But now we know a little bit. We know so little about this guy. He is a foreign national. He doesn't have his green card. He does have a work visa that expires in 2 years. I've got 1,000 thoughts that are just swirling around in my mind, and I just don't know how to navigate and to move forward.
Jim?
Is your relationship with her good, would you say? I mean, would she go out to coffee with you, and does she like spending time with you as the dad?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
very much. In fact, we went out to eat just the other week, and she shared a little bit more about him.
Well, you know what I find exactly that. I would up the ante on terms of just spending time with her, because you're going to get some of those questions answered, and you're not going to like all the answers, possibly, but maybe you will. And so the more I think a dad and a daughter can have, when she got married those years ago, you had a different role in her life. Today, you're more parent to adult child. And so your role is one to be her advocate, to show love and care and support her. It's to ask those important questions if she's willing to do it. I wouldn't dump. If you have 100 questions, I would do that over, several coffees and meals. But as long as your wife feels this is okay and others feel it's okay, I would up the ante. I think she needs you, and obviously you can help her. But don't make it just that the dad now. So you have to reinvent your relationship with her, and her job is to kind of figure this one out. And it sounds like she is swept off. All of that sounds maybe okay, but I find that daughters, especially with their dads, they want their dad's input, and if she's willing to give you some of that information, then I think you're on your way to a healthy change in the relationship. So that's, again, what my suggestion is be in relationship with her more than ever. I find this. I have adult daughters, and once a month I go on a date with them. And it might be breakfast the other day with one of them. And I get all kinds of info. And other times I do it, and all we talk about is snowboarding, and I want more. You know what I'm saying? But, you just build into it. And they need to know that you're safe, that you're there. And so they want your advice, but let her ask for that advice more than you just dump on it. Does she live in your home?
No. She's out on her own. She has her own career.
Yeah, right. Because sometimes it's those spontaneous things that happen when you're, if she's in the same home. But since she's not living in the home, you have to be more, hey, honey, where you live, I'm going to be there, on Tuesdays. I mean, I had a meal weekly with one of my daughters as an adult during a tougher time in her life, and she knew I had an agenda. I hid the agenda. It was in my top pocket in a note card. One day she said to me after 6 months, she goes, "Hey, I know you got something, I don't know where it is. It's probably in your pocket or something, but I know you have some questions. Just lay it on me." She's the one with the clinical. She has a master's in clinical psych, and I was caught. And I wanted to go, no. Well, okay, I do. And there were 5 questions. So write questions out ahead of time. How's it going? And then the other thing I would say is get to know that guy. If she's willing, then are you married, Ed?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so you and your wife, spend some of that hard-earned money to taking them out for a meal and enjoying each other and really getting acquainted, because, again, the way you're going to get information is by spending time with them. And then if she asks, you have that opportunity. I see a yellow flag because of this. What are you going to do when not the green card, but when the work permit is done in 2 years, because he's going to have to go back. Typically, that's the case unless he's going through a process. So what are you going to do then? And asking those kind of dad questions, they're okay. But I wouldn't do that from the beginning, because you don't want her reeling from you pushing too hard. But spend time. You get the info. I've always said, never hurts. If my kids are willing to spend time with me, then I'm going to spend time with them, because I'm going to learn all kinds of stuff, that sometimes I don't want to hear, but I'm still going to have to learn those things. So that's what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ed, Can you forgive yourself that you didn't see that abuse coming from the high school sweetheart and that your daughter couldn't tell for such a long time either?
Oh my goodness, I struggled deeply with that.
Oh.
That's a good question.
To be her protector and an obviously concerned and involved dad, and this man fooled everybody. You knew him for 7 years. And that he could treat your daughter like that, and you all weren't aware of it, and you couldn't be aware of it. That must have rocked you and rocked your sense even of yourself and yourself as a father.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I would think it might leave you hyper-vigilant, especially when there are more obvious potential problems. He's not a citizen. He has a work visa. How can we really know this guy? It must make it that much more difficult to want to trust or even want to know this new man.
Very true. I've practiced some avoidance behavior, as a matter of fact. Yes.
You have maybe avoided time with him or getting to know him? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, they have not pushed for us to get to know him. And I shared that with my daughter that, this is very, very hard for me. And I don't want to repeat performance of what has happened. And, and she gently took my hand. This was over dinner at our house. And she said, Dad, when you're ready, we'll move forward. We'll take that step, but we're not going to push, which I appreciated. But at the same time, I don't want to wind up being complacent and just say, hopefully, maybe it'll go away, because it's probably not going to go away.
She said, when you're ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I am ready, when my wife is ready. I think my wife is probably ready more so than I am at this point. But when I am ready to meet this fellow, they're ready to take that step with us.
Yeah. Ed, go meet him.
Yeah.
Take the nudge. She welcomed you. Now, again, you may not like what you meet, okay, and that's always a possibility. But you can't make decisions in some ways, or even help, without getting to know this gentleman. So that's what I would do.
Okay.
I would meet him.
Ed, if you can be the kind of man who's willing to be in recovery, because you got hang-ups like we all do, and you're willing to talk openly about that with your daughter and with her new boyfriend, you are setting the model for what she can and should expect. And I think a person's willingness to be in recovery is one of the best signs of being a safe person and becoming an even safer person. So be that, hope for, and expect that for your daughter.
Ed, there's a great book that we talk about all the time. It's by Dr. Jim Burns, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. It sounds like you've already got a great relationship with your daughter, but, it can always be strengthened. So pick that up from the newlife.com store, and thank you so much for calling us today here on New Life Live. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more on New Life Live.
My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
I went to the Restore conference, which seemed to be the missing puzzle piece where I was able to find my voice.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we are not stuck because someone else made a decision. God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, March 6th to the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
I'm navigating my world now. It feels so wonderful.
I've had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
The amazing God-honoring work we do at New Life is thanks to you, our generous donors. You're joining in what God is doing through this ministry when you make a gift of any size. You can give online at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. Your giving helps provide counseling, workshops, radio shows, and digital resources that meet people where they are, helping them take their next step toward healing and hope. Again, go to newlife.com, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. And when you're on newlife.com, you can also find the ways that you can get your questions to us in case you can't call us when we're here recording in the studio. You can leave us a voicemail. You can send us an email. Those last two ways are great, but they're not as much fun as speaking with you, but we get it. You may not be able to call in when we're here. Here is one of those questions that was submitted online. It's from Mickey. This is an email. Mickey writes, what is the next step after I had an affair many years ago that my husband keeps bringing up? I've been listening to you for many years on and off. Thank you so much for what you do. I met my husband 38 years ago, and we have now been married for 27 years. During that time, we spent about 6 years apart, 2 before our marriage and 4 after. In those years of separation, I made mistakes and had an affair. When we eventually began living together in the U.S. after time apart, I chose to be honest with him about what had happened. I told him the truth and gave him the choice. If he wanted to let me go, I would accept his decision. He chose forgiveness, and together we committed to building a future. Since then, we've moved forward, raising 2 wonderful children. They're 20 and 16. We've built our careers, recently bought a home. His forgiveness meant everything to me, and I've lived with deep gratitude, dedicating myself fully to our life together. Yet, even though I have remained faithful and devoted, whenever challenges arise in our relationship, he sometimes revisits that past mistake. He brings it up in hurtful ways, asking why I did what I did 25 years ago, and saying it made him look bad in front of others. We've never addressed this issue in a joint therapy session. Both of us see individual therapists. I invited him to join me in a marriage therapy session, but he declined. After a painful 2-hour conversation where he blamed me for ruining his life, I'm now left wondering what the healthiest next step should be. Alice, what say you to Mickey?
Mickey, I want you to check if you have the strength to be a listener to him yet again. He has unresolved hurt, and that's not all on you. I think you have done a very good job of remorse and repentance. His hurt may not have been listened to enough. He shouldn't be bringing it up to you in this unproductive way that he does. But one thing you can offer him is to be his comfort circle listener, which is that structured listening technique that comes from the How We Love book. My husband told me recently, you haven't been listening to me very well lately. And I thought on the inside, what? I'm a pro. I am such a good listener. What is he talking about? So I didn't really believe it, but there could be a grain of truth to it. And so after I had calmed down a little bit, I went back to him to say, tell me about the times I haven't been a good listener to you. And I just want to hear. And I listened to him in the comfort circle where you reflect back. You say, okay, I heard you say, you do not defend yourself. You do not justify what you did. You just draw out your spouse's pain And often that pain is not just about us and the accusation they made. It was about my husband's father not listening to him and his other family members struggling to be good listeners to him. It was partly me, because sometimes I'm not a good listener. But by drawing out his pain in that proactive way, he was able to talk with me without being too angry or too accusational. And the comfort circle helps us to have a more regulated conversation about a very trying topic. Now, when I hear things like, "you ruined my life," that's a very large statement when seemingly you all have reconciled fairly well. So I imagine that statement belongs to some other people, not just you, and to some other failures in his life that he has not processed through. And so if you can go in with a humble spirit knowing your infidelity did hurt him deeply and he hasn't recovered from it, but that's probably not all that's stirring in him. Now, on the other hand, if he continues to only bring it up in hurtful ways, it is okay to limit how and when you're willing to listen to him. And so you might say, I am willing to be your listener if we do go into a couples therapy session or if we just stick with this comfort circle. But if you bring it to me with a loud voice and with swearing and with these big accusations, I can't be a good listener. So if you do that, I'm going to have to pause you and walk away. But if you're willing to do it in this safe way, I will be your listener.
Jim Burns.
That's good stuff. You know, again, I think the good news is he stayed with you even when he knew this, and he says he's shown forgiveness. The not so good news is that he hasn't dealt with it himself. I think Alice called it unresolved hurt. And that's exactly what's going through. And so he's got to do the work. Now, you said he's in therapy, and so I hope he's getting the help he needs. It's been a long time. Now, again, you know, it's a very, obviously, when someone has an affair, when someone, breaks trust, and you did that in a separation type situation, but, you know, it is something that affects them, but it shouldn't be continuing to go on. So I don't think he's done the work he's needed to do. Now, again, you can't be the person to point the finger out at him. Your finger just going, you know, you're wrong. However, you might. You said, I'd like you to join me with my therapist. You may want to try going to his if he's been talking about it, because maybe he feels more comfortable in that setting. But somehow that conversation, you're a part of it, but you're not the only part. So this is what's hard about anything with marriage. He has a pattern right now that his pattern is, I bring that up because I'm always going to win the argument. I'm just going to, my pattern is we're in trouble or we're having a conversation and then I'll bring it up and, it breaks you down. So he's got to learn that. And his therapist might be able to get better insight when you're there to say, here's my remorse, here's how I feel, here's what he said, here's what's going on. And it actually, without trying to sound like you're better than him, it really is important to be able to say, I'm just trying to get my hands around it. When she talked about the situation with her husband, something, I'm going to use, I just interviewed Gary Chapman on my podcast, so I'm going to use Gary Chapman, 5 Love Languages thing. He talks about a love tank. So somehow when he brings that up, his love tank is not full. I don't know what that means, and I don't think you're all responsible for that. But you want to find out in your mind, you want to think, is there a pattern when he brings it up? Because he doesn't want to deal with his issue, and his love tank, again, it's not all about you, but his love tank may not be full. He's got to get through this, or he's wearing a very heavy loaded vest that he's not able to get past, or he has a weight on his shoulder. And I'm not saying it's easy, but he's got to do that work too. And sounds to me like you're doing the work. I appreciate you doing that, but you guys probably could really use some couples therapy, and you do that delicately.
And check, Mickey, whether or not you sometimes dismiss or minimize his pain. That was so long ago. I thought you said you already forgave me. I haven't done anything since then, because that will keep the wound open and alive. You might ask him, how can I rebuild trust? And what do you need from me to be able to decrease the hurt you feel? And then, Mickey, check your own phone use. Are you connecting with male friends, with ex-boyfriends on screen? Are you doing anything that would cause him suspicion and fear?
Yeah, I like what you said, Alice, because for Mickey, she's got to be able to deal with her own, because she's dealt with it. And we do this as Christians sometimes. Well, I'm forgiven. I'm fine. The other person, it takes a little longer. This is too long. He needs to get the help. But we do have to be careful that we go, well, I'm fine. Why aren't they fine? You see this a lot with substance abuse people. That they go and get the help, and now it's the person who was the codependent who's now going crazy on it or something.
Yeah, Mickey, thank you so much for sending in your question. We'll talk to you tomorrow on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.